Hello, everybody. I have not been around for a little bit because, to be honest, the last couple of fight cards, to my great shame, because I'm the matchmaker and the the blame stops and starts with me, have not been very good. They haven't. That's not fair. They haven't been bad, but they haven't produced a amazing fight. They haven't produced something that has gotten me psyched to do commentary. And obviously, if I'm not psyched to do commentary, it is going to affect the quality. I mean, the idea here is to give you the great bouts. This is not to say that we haven't had some interesting stuff. Xavier Mashad with a quick finish of James Nickel was interesting. We had a statement fight from Stuffy Magus. We had an excellent display of how to counter a wrestler from Tristan Tremblay. Like, there's been stuff. There has been interesting fights, but there hasn't been exciting fights. There hasn't been that fight that makes me want to get up and destroy. And I mean, I'm including a fight that had my fighter in it. So, it's been a bit rough. However, OFC 8 put an end to that. This is the OFC 8 Steel Storm card from Pittsburgh. And it had a lot of good fights on it. Started off really, really good with Aramis Berto versus Charlie Walsh. Won't even be doing that one. That's a good fight. But we are going to do two fights from this card because it was that good. We saw a great debut for the flyweight division with Shadi Khameed defeating Alex De Palma in convincing fashion. The division is on notice. We saw a pretty interesting fight between Brent Crunch Cristelli and Mitch Commando Craig. That was a pretty fun fight. It really raised the stock of both guys. And then the fights we're going to look at is a lightweight contest between local man, well, not local because he's technically from like Virginia, I believe, but Carver, BockNak Dahl, and Johnny Blaney's Wagner, which was a burner, and Paul Riccobene versus Carnell Hall, aka Slampage, facing off. A battle of two New Yorkers in Pittsburgh. What could go wrong? We're going to look at that fight as well. And there were some other good ones here. We had a nice leg locks or a heel hook submission from Benji the Leg Lock Buffet Smith, always doing his thing, and the return of Jimmy the Kid Hedis after a long injury imposed semi-retirement. Might have had a proper retirement bout. He beat Scott Heckman, which is an awesome name, by the way. Didn't know about that fighter tremendously before that. Did a lot of research on him. Liked it. Liked the name. But that was OFC 8. And next up, we got Texas Stampede, which is going to feature our first ever title defense. Heavyweight champion Joachim Jackhammer Hunviksen defending against the man he actually won the title off of in that tournament, Jonathan Hellsfire Smith. We're probably going to see a lot of the rematches from the tournament, if we're being honest, because obviously with the two fights in one night, there was grounds to, scratch your head and wonder, would this fight have gone differently? I mean, I fully expect to see Patrick Oliveira get a title shot at some point down at 155. I expect to see that. And we also have Byron Dirksen on the card. Always fun. We have the Texas Strangler, Chris Fitch, on the card. We got the undefeated Gordy Bobian. Really a highlight top to bottom card. We got the Human Dumpster Paul Gratch taking on Evan Phipps. That should be fun as well. We have the Night Dog Ronnie Upshaw back. Really actually very, very excited for this fight, for this upcoming fight card, and I think it will definitely deliver. But that's not the one we're here to talk about today. So the two fights we're going to look at, and I talked about them. Let's get a little bit more in detail here. We're going to do double dose here. Paul Rock and Rolla Ricobeni versus Carnell Slampage Hall. This is a featherweight bout. Slampage coming in undefeated, but only 3-0, versus the 4-1 Paul Riccobeni. Riccobeni, an excellent striker with pretty heavy hands. He has what we call baseball power, that overhand that really smashes things home. And Carnell Slampage Hall, I mean, with a name like Slampage, how can you do anything but wrestle and slam? Like, how can you? So that's a pretty straightforward fight in terms of what's going on. And then this lightweight bout that really creeped up on me between Carver Dahl and Johnny Wagner. Johnny Blaze, as we call him. Very interesting fight because you have two guys that pride themselves on being able to win in moments of the fight. There's not a long term fight plan, if that makes any sense, for either guy. But they go out there and they deliver, just in the random bits. I must notice that after this, when the round stuff comes up for the play-by-plays and so on, unfortunately, it's not going to show in the same dimensions. Like, there will be a little black border around it, around the outside. I haven't figured out how to fix that without distorting the image. I mean, what I could do, it has just hit me now, is obviously save it with a different canvas size in paint.net and see if that works. But I think it'll also distort the image there, because it'll still resize it in a way that is not proportional. But it's doing it for the webcam. So the webcam's doing something where it makes the image fit. And I don't know what to say about that. Anyways, so that's what we got. And I hope you enjoy the ride here, because you're going to get two pretty good fights. And hopefully that'll make up for the fact that the last couple of cards have been duds. And hopefully Texas Stampede doesn't let down. I don't see why it wouldn't. But I also didn't see why the other fight cards would let down. So here's hoping. I guess that's really all I can say. And we begin round one of this featherweight bout between Paul Rolla Ricobeni coming out against Carnell Slampage Hall. Hall stalking forward. We got that pawing jab out there from Ricobeni, obviously. Typical taller striker behavior. Trying to defend against it. Slampage shoots in. Ricobeni with a hard hit to the body. That was a beautiful liver shot right there. And follows up with a left uppercut. And this fight is over already. Slampage Hall is down. The referee is stepping in. He is out cold. Paul Ricobeni with the fastest stoppage in OFC history there. That was just 22 seconds. An amazing destruction by Paul Rolla Ricobeni. He improves to 5-1, puts the featherweight division on absolute notice, you'd have to say. This is a division that hasn't really been established terribly heavily. We haven't seen a tournament in it yet. And you got to think he just punched his ticket to any tournament that they do, in fact, do. Because you've got... Really, I'm just pulling up this weight class right now, and I mean, yeah, you've got Magic Man Steve Mako with a win to his resume, having beaten Malachi Garza, and then you got Sean Smith, who of course defeated Buzzsaw Brian Hayden. That's really about it. We do have some stuff coming up in the future. JB Lidecker is going to make his debut somewhat soon, when he fights Kai Bonesaw Win. Should be interesting to see that. Peach Fuzz Fournier is coming up with his debut. Get excited for that. Jesus the Mongoose Mondragon, one of my favorite names to just say right there, is also coming up with a debut. Not too far in the distance, but you gotta like what Paul Ricobeni just did here in a fledgling division that hasn't really been formed yet. I don't know. I don't have anything else to say. That is probably KO of the night. And we're going to move on to a second fight that earned play-by-play honors. And we're getting ready here for this lightweight bout to immense here. We got Johnny Blaze Wagner versus Carver Bocknak Dahl. Here we go. Blaze Wagner 6-2. Carver Dahl 5-3 coming into this match. Both men pulling out that jab, looking for room to work with. Carver Dahl's a really tough, tall guy. This is going to be an odd experience for Johnny Blaze Wagner, who's normally the taller fighter in his bouts. Carver Dahl's got that height and that reach advantage here, probably against just about anybody in the division. He's such a short scarecrow-like tall, lanky scarecrow-like fighter. I don't know why you would go with a short one anyways. Wagner is starting to, tap him up, though. He's found that range. He's got that jab coming out there. Nice little hook down low as well. He's looking to the body of Dahl, which is pretty smart. You want to body snatch that short, that why am I saying short again? That thin, long body, that large target that BockNak does present to you. In the meantime, Dahl, though, is swinging out there with that hard right hand. He, got a little touch there with that straight right. We'll see what he can do. I think that's pretty open, though, at the moment. And just as I was about to say that this fight was starting to turn into Wagner's favor, Dahl floors him with a hard overhand right. That puts Wagner on the ground. Dahl follows him down. He's a good grappler in his own right. Very good submission artist. Very, very tricky. Looking, in fact, for an arm triangle here right off the bat. Not looking for the ground and pound. I think that might be a mistake. Wagner is using the cage to try to prop himself up and deny the pressure on that choke right now. I think really Dahl needs to get rid of that choke, and he's not. He's going for it, and there is Blaze popping out his head. Johnny Blaze Wagner is not that hurt, though. Has got himself positioned now for a single, trying to scramble his way out of this, trying to get it either back to the feet or turn the ground position on its head. Can he do that? Wagner landing some good shots of his own from his back right now, or not really his back, his seated position. Dahl getting up and landing a good knee of his own right, though, trying to break this up. Wagner grabs the leg, though, and drags this back to the ground, and this time it's Dahl on his back. BockNak is on his back. Blaze Wagner on top, landing some good shots to the body. Dahl's got that sort of, he's got a kind of guillotine there, but he's leaving himself open for the Von Prue, OSP choke, whatever you want to call it. I personally think the OSP thing is bullshit. It's either the Von Flu or the Von Prue. I'm willing to say that OSP has pulled off the choke enough to get his name in there alongside Jason Von Flu, but you got to give the credit to the originator of the choke. Wagner has really worked his way beautifully, though, to what effectively is mount position right now, and he's digging into the body with good shots here. Carver Dahl he's giving up his back. He's giving up his back to Blaze Wagner. Wagner's got the back control right now, a little over we're about the 3-minute mark here, about 2 minutes to go in the fight. Wagner is looking for that rear naked choke. He's very, very potent from the back. I think this is a huge, huge mistake from Carver Dahl, and there it is. It is sunk in, and Carver Dahl is going to tap. Johnny Blaze Wagner gets his first OFC win, improving to 7-2 overall. Carver Bockneck Dahl, you got to worry about him at this point because, I mean, 4-4 in his MMA career. Kind of an odd signing by the company to begin with because he came in with just a 4-2 record, and he's now lost 2 in a row. I mean, I know that it's losing 2 in a row isn't really that bad. I mean, you got to give credit where it is due. Johnny Blaze Wagner, Sean Hatch, both very, very, very good fighters, top guys in the division. But it also has to be said that outside of flooring Wagner in this fight, there's not been a lot of positives to write home about. Where does he go from here? I mean, there's enough guys in the division that I think you could find someone for him to face off with, someone for him to do well against. But a 2-loss losing streak, I mean, you'd be looking at someone like Ryan Kellum, which, now that I say that, I actually don't mind that fight. But it does feel like the loser would pretty much be headed home. And that's also not the greatest feeling in the world. So we'll see what happens. I know we got at OFC 9 a fight between Evan Wheeler and Todd Sapo Williams, Kid Chaos versus Sapo. The loser of that fight's also going to be in very big trouble. In fact, I think if it's Wheeler, who sports a 2-3 record, came in with just a 2-2 record, and then lost to JCK in the lightweight tournament, you'd have to look at that as a problem. Another guy to look at maybe is JCK, who I just brought up. He's recently a loser to Jonathan Hallam, but he is booked for a fight on OFC 14 against Kevin Liu. And the loser of that fight probably falls into where we're looking at with Carver Dahl here. I mean, the problem with Carver Dahl probably is that it's so finishing oriented. I mean, he's bizarre. He's 6'1". He's a southpaw who hits pretty hard with the lead hand. He's a tricky grappler, American Top Team Atlanta product, but you got to in general feel that I don't know, maybe a change of camp might be in order, or go find the American Top Team proper team to see if he can round out his style and develop a more competitive minute-to-minute game, which I don't think he has right now. But that's it for OFC 8. I hope you enjoyed it. Hoping OFC 9 Texas Stampede, Houston, Texas is going to be beautiful as well. We got stuff coming up, and as always, if you want a fighter to be added to the OFC roster in the sim, just let me know the details. We've got some we got some new guys coming in, new blood coming in on the Discord server. We recently added Toby the Ghost Garcia. I'm interested to see the whitest Mexican of all time fight. We also, of course, have one of my longtime viewers over on my Meodred Gaming channel, Steve McGinnis, who made his debut on this card and did pick up a win. Sadly, it was overrun by this card, but I thought it was a very good performance from him, extending his record to an impressive 11-4 as he defeated Marcus Spites, and he'll probably be in the OFC welterweight tournament for the first ever champion. I guess I can say that right now, as I'm looking at any welterweights that have won, we'll probably be going into that tournament. I'll kind of use this to bring that up. So Jason Teeters is going to be head into the tournament despite not being very good. But also Manny David is going to be there. We're also going to have Arnaud Dubé. We're going to have Steve McGinnis. We're going to have not Marcus Spites. Benji Smith is going to be in there. So we'll be looking to crown our first champion before the end of year 2 of OFC, and it has been announced, and it will be announced that starting at OFC 13, it will be monthly cards, which come out every week here, but monthly in game time. So it'll speed some things up, because I'm just noticing I've been having to let fighters go do regional fights that the sim pops up every so often a fair bit, because I just can't book them fast enough. So I think that monthly approach will help with that. So and keep things fresh without just throwing in random debuting fighters to pick up like actual people. It'll let the fodder fighters kind of develop their own stories, which is kind of fun. I do hope that some of the fodder fighters, the just randomly generated fighters, like Carnell, Slampage, Hall, actually develop their own like storyline going forward. So here's hoping that happens. And that is all for today. I don't know if you guys want to hear some thoughts on like Kevin Holland and stuff, because I have found the Kevin Holland talk to be just bizarre. Maybe it's because I knew, or theorized at the very least, that the problem that Derek Brunson and Marvin Vettori highlighted was just always there. Like dating back to like the Gerald Mershart and Brendan Allen fight, even the Darren Stewart fight, like fights that he was perhaps winning, and it wasn't as highlighted as brutally, but that the flaw was absolutely there, and that once he hit elite competition, it was going to start to burn him, and it has, because he's had three air quote elite fights, beating Jacare, but beating Jacare in a manner that wasn't sustainable, and then losing Marvin Vettori and losing to why is my brain failing me? Derek Brunson. There we go. So if you want me to hear me talk about that, go ahead, light it up. And also we got some other things coming up in the MMA world. So I don't know. There may be a video at some point just kind of proxying my thoughts in. So have a good day. And it'll be off to OFC 9 next. And I pretty much have up to about OFC 13 booked. So there you go. And I got a big surprise for OFC 14, assuming some things fall into place.